Welcome back, everybody, to Photography Tips and Tricks, your show for gear tips, inspiration, anything you need to get your photography to the next level. My name is RC, and today we're going to talk about monopods. I got a lot of questions coming in on what's a monopod? How do you use a monopod? What kind of monopods are you using? So I figured I would do a little bit of show and tell, the kinds of stuff that I'm using. So let's cover the very basics. What is a monopod, right? Well, we know what a tripod is, right? 1, 2, 3 legs. So 3 legs is a surface for you to put your camera on, right? That's all a tripod is legs that extend, and 3 of them kind of give you a nice stable surface so that you can have a camera to work at slower shutter speeds and be able to do more creative photography. Now, I think tripods are phenomenal. That's exactly what I tend to use 90% of the time. However, there is a bit of a problem when working with a tripod in some instances. The first of which is your tripod footprint. You'll notice that as I have the tripod out on this table, it takes up a specific amount of space just by virtue of it being open, right? The more that these legs get extended out and you open them even further, you will go ahead and you will actually have more space that's taken up. And more space and more space and more space. So this is gonna get really big, it's gonna get really unwieldy, and it's gonna take up a lot of space. In some instances, sports, if you're doing any kind of nature work or things like that, you might not have all of the time for you to sit there and open up all of the legs, get everything all ready, get all of your space all set up, and you're gonna want to opt for a monopod. Now, a monopod is one of those things that's kind of like, it's better than a punch in the stomach, right? Like, I wouldn't want to just handhold this camera, right? In a perfect world, something is better than nothing, and it's probably a good idea for you to catch something. So this is the Oben tripod. It's a carbon fiber CTM 2500 monopod. It's a great little monopod for you to use, and it's the smallest one that I like in the series. And in essence, what a monopod does is it lets you take your camera and you could screw it on to, or screw the monopod right onto the bottom of the camera. Now, by doing so, what that'll do is that'll let you, oh, well, it'll probably help if I actually use the right screw, right? So there's a screw here, right? I'll take this off. You could usually take all of these guys and you can spin them right off. As you do that, you could take this little thread, pull it off, put it into the smaller one, right? I'm gonna go ahead and put this collar back on. Problem solved, right? A little embarrassing, but other than that, not too bad. It happens to everybody. So now you can grab this and you can screw this right back onto this. Now, by doing so, what you've done now is you've set up your camera so that it's on a nice, stable surface, provided that you're not doing this, right? But it does offer a little bit more stability when you're working with it, right? Because now you have one leg that you can plant on the ground, and if you put yourself where you can actually hold it like this, that'll give you a little bit of a steadier shot than having 2 hands kind of wobbling it about. It also helps you from horizontal sweeping, right? So if you're a person who's doing any kind of panning photography, right? Think racers, think cars coming down a track, think bobsledders. This is usually pretty good because it's gonna let you kind of move from one point to another point, right? That's not too bad. However, what it doesn't let you do too much is this, up and down. So when you're doing up and down stuff, what'll happen here is you can run the risk of having it kind of do this. Comes right off, right? So as you move down, depending on the weight of the lens, so imagine if I go over here to the table and I move down, crash. Not necessarily the best thing for you. So what a lot of people will do is they'll take these and you'll take these monopod heads, as I smack myself with that, and they'll attach them to ball heads, right? So I'll take my ball head over here, right? On this tripod, it's kind of suffering from fat guy in a little coat. We'll go ahead and we'll move this over to the next size. No, that's that size. Boom. Yeah, this is a good one. So it's another medium size or another small size, right? I'm gonna take this collar off, and so that I don't smack myself, what I'll do is I'll take that ring off, all right? Of course, it'll be the one that doesn't come off. That's fine. I'll put this back on. I'll put the bigger thread on there. We'll screw it back in. Now that I have the bigger thread on this, bigger thread is gonna work for ball heads. So now I have really right stuff, right? BH40, and I have it on top of a monopod. This is better than just having it bolted onto here, because now at least you get a little bit of up and down motion. Matter of fact, a lot of ball head manufacturers have some that will just let you do just straight up and down. Really Right Stuff has got one where you can actually do that, where you can set it up so that it just goes up and down. It doesn't do any other motions. So this is pretty good, I think, from a tripod, from a monopod standpoint. A lot of the times I tell people, as a general rule, get monopods that you know you're going to carry, right? I like this monopod. It's a really, really big one, right? It's a Manfrotto 680B. I'm going to go ahead and pull one, pull two, pull three. Decent size, right? Head's reversible. Again, I mean, the thread's reversible, that's fine. But what happens is it's an aluminum monopod. It's a bit of a mess sometimes when you need to be able to carry it. But the first thing that you want to do is make sure that whatever monopod you want to carry, it's small enough for you to be able to carry it everywhere. I like these because I could throw them inside my suitcase. And it's light enough for it not to be an inconvenience. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to show you how to be able to work with a little bit of a bigger one and how I tend to use those same monopods from a lighting standpoint.
When bad weather strikes and threatens your next outdoor shoot, you need the experience. The experience of a photographer that can handle any situation.
Get your hair out of your eyes! Come on!
The experience of Joe McNally.
Bad weather doesn't mean you can turn in a bad shoot. It's really bad weather out here, Harry! I'm not gonna leave this dock without a picture.
Trust Joe to teach you the tips you'll need to capture stunning photos even when the weather turns ugly.
Anybody there see the sun? I don't.
Don't let bad weather ruin your next...
I'm happy again. What am I supposed to out here? Sing a chorus of I Feel Pretty?
Don't let bad weather ruin your next photo shoot.
Telling people what is perfectly obvious, that the weather sucks!
Rely on Joe McNally to help you weather the storm.
The miracle of photography visits us again. We are...
Learn how to take great photos in bad weather. Watch Joe McNally.
Whoa, was that the same cow?
Welcome back, everybody, to Photography Tips and Tricks. RC here. Want to finish talking to you a little bit about monopods. So we've talked about different sizes and carbon fiber, something that's really good, and you can add heads to it. But a lot of the times, one of the biggest places where you see monopod use is in big guns. So here I have a 5D Mark III with a 24-105. As a general rule, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to keep your camera steady. So at 24 millimeters, I want to make sure that my shutter stays at around 24th of a second and higher, right? If I were to go to 105 millimeters, I want my shutter speed to be at 105th of a second or higher, right? So if you keep above whatever that millimeter is, as a general rule, you will keep stuff that's a little bit more in focus, right? So that's why you add tripods, that's why you add monopods. You wanna make sure to kind of try to offset that or combat that. Image stabilization also combats that. But really, where you see a lot of this work is in spaces like sports. So what happens when you have to use this, right? So this is a Canon 400 millimeter 2.8. Now, for this, I would tell you this. Don't go being a hero, right? Generally, when you're holding this, never hold it so that you're holding it on the camera, right? Obviously, there's this big collar that sits right here for a specific reason. It sits here so that you can make sure that you stabilize it on a tripod. This is where it goes on the tripod, not here. If you put it here, all of the weight of this is going to snap that mount and you're gonna have a problem. So that's the first thing, right? So you're gonna carry it kind of like that, right? You can do workouts. Now, oftentimes, these things don't get attached to a head at all. They'll just get screwed directly onto the monopod itself. So at this point, that's what the setup looks like. Now, this is where you would want to see, make sure that you don't tip this forward because this will skate. Don't tip it back because it'll fall. So you have to keep a really, really good handle on this. Now, while we're talking about handle, let's talk about handling, right? Handling. Oftentimes when you see people use monopods that have big glass, as a general rule, it's always better for you to put your hand down on it and shoot this way. By putting your hand on it, what you can do is you can actually stabilize it even further, almost by virtue of just kind of digging it into the ground a little bit more, right? So it gives you more stable. Don't do this, put it under here, put it over, right? Most of the times these have pre-focused zoom sections that you can use for that. And we've talked about all of that stuff over in the KelbyOne site. Now, you don't necessarily have to worry too much about horizontal and landscape stuff here because you do have this rotating collar. If you turn this, you can go ahead and automatically switch, right? Portrait, landscape, portrait, landscape. Turn it, and you're back in business. So you get a lot of really, really cool rotation from left to right, right, by doing that, right? It's a big lens. You wanna make sure that you always attach it on this one section. And from a holding standpoint, I'll tend to hold it like this. You'll see a lot of people just kind of drape it over the shoulder, but I'm always a very, very, very nervous person. So you'll see me kind of holding it like this, right? So pretty easy, pretty straightforward for you to be able to carry most of these kinds of things. And you have, as a general rule, some ideas of how to be able to use these tripods. They're for slowing down that shutter speed and for putting yourself into a spot where you don't have all of the footprint and all of the access. Now, these things also double as really, really good light assists. So you'll see here in this one section, I'm gonna show you this guy. This guy's pretty cool. So this is an Oben tripod. Now, this is a 2400, it's a AC, I think it's an ACWL 2400L. We'll go ahead and we'll put it in the show notes. But this is heavy, this is aluminum, right? It's got a big head right here. And a lot of the times I use these little brass studs to be able to augment and make that a little bit bigger. Why would I want to make that bigger? This guy comes with me all the time, which is why all of this is scuffed up. I'll add this attachment to it, a couple of brass studs or brass connectors to it to make it a little bit longer. That gives me enough of a spot where I can put in an umbrella mount. By putting in an umbrella mount, I can tie this in. I'll go ahead and I'll get this a little tighter here. And now I've got a shoe right here at the top that I can put a flash on. So in this case, we have a 600 Canon flash we can go ahead and mount right here, or take a look at this. We have a Photix. So Photix Mitros. If you haven't seen these, you're gonna see these a lot on the show. These are supposed to be really, really good flashes. I'm starting to play with them and I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. So you're gonna see more on this on Photography Tips and Tricks. So we'll go ahead and we'll take the Photix, we'll put it in this one section, we'll clamp it down, and once we have it there, now you have something that you can hand a stick man, right? I can throw this with an umbrella and go out and cover a wedding. So this is pretty good. Now, the reason that I like this Oben tripod, it's heavy, it's tall. However, you hear that? That's the sound of awesome. You unscrew the bottom of it, in a pinch, take this out, thread it back in, and now we'll go ahead and we'll extend it. And I can go ahead and I can stand something, I can throw a light on that, and I can do something with that. So that happens to be a great addition. It's not the sturdiest in the world, but again, it's good in a pinch, so I carry it with me all the time. Now, we've talked about flashes, we've talked about monopods, we've talked about lights, we've got all of that stuff set up. I want you to take a look at something else. I want you to go to PeachPit.com/KelbyOne. Go to PeachPit.com/KelbyOne. You can get 40% off of an ebook, MBA Senior High School Portraiture by Sal Sincata. All you have to do is put in the code KelbyOne at PeachPit.com/KelbyOne, PeachPit.com/KelbyOne, and you can get 40% off of the ebook deal. Now, the other thing that I want to talk to you about is Photoshop World. Make sure you go to PhotoshopWorld.com. PhotoshopWorld.com is happening in Atlanta and it's coming up fast. It's April 8th to the 10th at the Cobb Galleria Center in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you want to work with some of the world's best photographers, you want to learn one-on-one, this is the place to do it. Go to PhotoshopWorld.com for some more information. Now, we have a website that I want you to take a look at, and I kind of want to keep things in the spirit of the Google photographers, right? Because a lot of the folks at Google do some great work out there, Romain Guy being one of them. If you go to plus.google.com/RomainGuy, you'll be able to see all of his information. So he's got some great shots out there, right? Engineers also make great photographers, and I'm really enjoying a lot of his work. So that covers all of this information except the contest. I want you to go and win some prizes here. So this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to KelbyOne.com/contest. At that section, you're going to make sure that you put in, all right, the show that you want, right? Photography tips and tricks. You're going to tell us the show that you're looking at. So the show that you're looking at is episode 54. It's always a good idea for you to make sure that you put that in there. Put in episode 54, put in your name, put in your email. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you don't want to see. Tell us what you liked. We're more than happy to be able to help all of you guys. Our producers are going to pick somebody, and that person is going to win Critiqued Inside the Minds of 23 Leaders in Design by Christina Beard, and is going to win a Rogue Safari DSLR pop-up diffuser. So 2 different products. Hopefully one of you guys are going to be able to win it here on Photography Tips and Tricks. My name is RC. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.